Thank you so much, Gary. Caroline Woolard, co-founder of ourgoods.org and other things. Come on up.
All right, so I guess this is the last 5 minutes to try and encourage us to stay. So in 2008, a bunch of friends and I built out a studio space and we managed it together. We signed a 5-year lease with a 3-year option and we hoped for the best in Brooklyn. We wanted to make our work and to innovate. This meant taking risks and failing often to finally discover new ideas and make new work. We needed low overhead, low rent to make this happen. Most of us got involved in the space to save money, but quickly the space became an emotional and intellectual home for some of us, certainly for me. When I realized that over 8 years we would pay our landlord $960,000 for a dilapidated 8,000 square foot studio space that we built with our own time and money, sweat equity for years, only to be kicked out and priced out of our neighborhood, not eligible for commercial loans, I became obsessed with equitable ownership models in New York City. I want to stay put in New York City for life, and so I'm focused on affordable space for good. But let's back up. What do we do in a financial crisis, but also a networked information era, and a moment in history where there are more creative people than doctors, lawyers, and police officers combined? In case you haven't heard the statistic, if we organized in our nation as creative people, we'd be larger than the US military. So, what I like to think about is how we can work together. There's a chance that our bank accounts would evaporate overnight, but we'd still have our skills to share with one another. That's why I've co-founded and co-directed resource sharing networks, ourgoods.org and TradeSchool.coop since 2009. I've seen how nonprofit sharing economy platforms build resilience and mutual aid for those of us on the privileged side of the digital divide. I've also seen that online platforms are not enough. We need affordable space so that we can take risks and fail. And so I started thinking, how might we utilize the strengths of a networked information era to produce options to cooperatively finance, acquire, and manage space? Taking inspiration from the Cooper Square Committee's Community Land Trust, I saw that community-based organizations ensure that spaces remain affordable in perpetuity. The Community Land Trust is a resilient and proven model. There's one thriving in the East Village that you can visit. The question is, how do we make room for more community land trusts in New York City? So recently I learned about an exciting option, real estate investment cooperatives. In Minneapolis, as some of you might know, a membership share in a real estate investment cooperative is $1,000, and member owners have an opportunity to invest in additional non-voting stock if they like. They've been able to buy multiple buildings this way and support cooperative and local businesses. So this is a way to leverage relatively small investments made by a large group of people to purchase properties and put them into community land trusts. By becoming investors in the physical infrastructure of our communities, lots of people get a stake in the present and future of our communities. Consistent with the principles and spirit of the cooperative movement, real estate investment cooperatives make long-term, stabilizing, and transformative investments for the mutual benefit of members and cities. I'm inspired by existing affordable space options in New York City, like Spaceworks and Manufacture New York. You'll see a rendering soon from the Thread Collective. The New York City Community Land Initiative's capacity building for the expansion of land trusts in New York City, which give its member owners protection against market fluctuations, and Buy 596 Acres, a land access and advocacy organization that facilitates the collaborative public use of land that is already public owned. So here's 3 ways that this could actually happen. 1, support real estate investment cooperatives that can stabilize our neighborhoods. New York City can create a small business services center or EDC-run incubator specifically for forms of shared real estate ownership. 2, support the creation of community land trusts so that land purchased by real estate investment cooperatives can be preserved for use value in perpetuity. integrate worker cooperatives and shared ownership across the city's economic development infrastructure, as urged by the Democracy at Work initiative. And 3, transfer vacant city-owned land and buildings that have been sitting unused in our municipal portfolios, waiting for development for decades, to community land trusts. In case you still think it's not possible, 30 hours ago, Paula Siegel from 596 Acres and I made a survey online to gauge interest in a New York City real estate investment cooperative. In 30 hours, we have $450,000 in pledges. So, while some of us can move, I think it's important to remember that many of us cannot. And as an artist and also creative technologist, I don't want to be displaced from this city. I want to stay here for life, and I bet you do too, so I hope you'll join us.